Hello and welcome to Contra Mundum. My name is Susanna Eileen Martin and I am your host. And this week we are back with my friend Kevin. Kevin, you want to give yourself a quick introduction one more time?
Yeah, I am Kevin McHugh. I am a student at Liberty University, and I am a transmedia writing concentration major, which is a fancy term for saying
Screenwriting.
Yeah,
basically. All right, so last week we started off our talk about superheroes and the Marvel and DC universes. We had some really interesting conversations, and I have brought Kevin back. Well, it's bringing him back for you guys, but for me, he never left because this is just the second half of the podcast. And we are going to start off this week by talking trailers. So the first one, and probably the one that I'm super, super excited about, is Spider-Man Homecoming. What did you think of that?
One word, impressed.
I'm really impressed too. I've been waiting my whole stinking life for a Spider-Man movie that was made by Marvel.
You mean Marvel Studios?
Yeah, Marvel Studios. I mean, it's my favorite character. I've actually read, I'm not a big comic book person, but I've actually read Spider-Man comics because I just love this character so much. Gosh, it looks awesome. And I love that they made him young.
Well, to give background, I adored the Sam Raimi movies. I really did like all of them.
The third one?
Yes, the third one included. I wouldn't say
blasphemy.
I loved, but I mean, I can appreciate it for what it was. Yeah, it definitely had problems, but I still had fun with it. But yeah, the first and second Spider-Man, they're near and dear to my heart. I grew up with them. I really thought they were good. The Amazing Spider-Man series, on the other hand, I liked parts of the first one, and the second one was a commercial to a film that doesn't even come out.
Yeah.
But
They keep trying to make Sinister Six and it just isn't working out so well.
Spider-Man Homecoming, I watched that trailer and the chills upon chills I got, just my gosh. It's just every idea I just kept saying, yes, that's awesome. Like the first one, the fact that his suit is so fat on him and he presses a button and it sticks to him. It's just so cool. And so I don't even know if they thought about this. Spider-like, almost like a web in a way. I mean, but just stuff like that. And just the fact that he was swinging through the neighborhood and splashed in a pool. I'm like, that's Spider-Man. And like you said, the thing about him being a kid was great too. Just, I love that they are taking advantage of the deal that Sony and Disney made. They're taking full advantage of it. They are taking the most popular, because honestly, Tony Stark, Iron Man, he's pretty much the most popular. And he's the beginning. He's the first character that we saw in this Marvel Studios universe. They're taking him and using him in the perfect way, making him a father, like a father figure where Uncle Ben was, and it's almost not a replacement, but just like that Tony Stark's going to be the Uncle Ben for him. And we're getting, I mean, oh my gosh, this had more character development than a lot of the other Iron Mans in a trailer.
It's so interesting because it's so obvious that Tony is so uncomfortable. Just watching it, it's like, that is not the place he wants to be.
Yeah.
He is not the father figure type of character.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see that because he's so uncomfortable, and then Peter is kind of looking for one. He's looking for someone to look up to, someone to be his not even necessarily like a father figure, but just be like a man in his life. He doesn't have one. And that's so interesting that Disney is actually going to go down that route, because Disney's generally in the habit of killing fathers and mother figures.
Absolute fantastic line when he says, "But I need that suit." And Tony looks at him and says, "If you need the suit, then you shouldn't have it."
Yeah.
And not only was that a good line for this, he was quoting Captain America all the way back from Avengers.
Yeah.
So this also means that all the events that happened in Civil War also had an effect on Tony. I cannot wait for this so much. This is my most... It was so funny because I was like...
my 2017.
I was kind of like, oh, Spider-Man's coming out this year. Literally, after seeing that trailer, I'm like, I gotta see this. This is my most anticipated movie of the summer.
This is like
Hands
opening weekend.
down.
I'm gonna see this.
Yeah, this is gonna be
I
outrageous.
am unbelievably
And
excited for this.
on top of that, Vulture, Michael Keaton, looks unbelievable and just like he's gonna have depth. This is probably gonna be one of the best.
Michael Keaton.
This is probably gonna be one of the best villains because I love the fact that he goes, "I'm doing all this for my family," so he's already gonna have that that empathy, and it's amazing because it feels like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans,
Yeah,
but
a
in the
little bit.
Marvel universe. That's awesome. That's just so excellent that like I think we're gonna get another Doc Ock in a way. And I'm hoping we get another Doc Ock. Because you really
You mean through Vulture?
through Vulture. Because I really think that they're going to play off of this villain is really he's fed up with Tony and he's doing all this for his family. And just some of the lines that he says to Peter, and he says, I have a feeling you know what that's like. And it's just, that's so what Peter Parker's about.
Yeah.
It's so what Spider-Man's about. And also, I read something on, I forgot what movie website it was, but technically they're making Vulture an Iron Man villain, where it's Iron Man's problem, but Spider-Man is taking responsibility and actually wanting to save the city.
Yeah. That's an interesting way
That
to
is
do
such a
it.
cool idea.
Yeah. There are a few things about that are negatives that I'm a little worried about. The main thing that I'm worried about, it's not even really a worry, is that they basically just told us the plot of the entire movie in the trailer. Like, you already know everything that's going to happen. Or at least, if they're not just completely, tricking us. But I don't know. I dislike that. I think one of the other trailers we're going to talk about is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that's a perfect trailer. It shows you who the characters are. But again, this is a little different than that because we don't know who these characters are. We've never seen these characters. We've seen Spider-Man for 10 minutes in Civil War, but in general, we don't actually know who this is. So I think it's fair, but it's still, I wish they hadn't shown so much of it. Just the thing where he takes the suit away, it's so obvious, and I don't want to know that ahead of time. I would rather be surprised because that's a big plot point, obviously. But it does, there's so much of it in the trailer, and that kind of frustrates me.
I can definitely see where everybody's saying, and yeah, it is. I mean, I don't blame the movie. I blame the marketing department, but
yes.
I do want to
Always
remind
blame the marketing
But I
department.
do want to remind people. Look back on the Spider-Man 2 trailer, the one Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Look back on that trailer. That showed everything. That legitimately showed everything. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it. Harry
It came out
pays
10 years
off.
ago.
I know.
You've probably seen it.
But Harry pays off Doc Ock. I mean, that's a huge plot point. Spider-Man quits. Major plot point. But everybody still went to see it. It was still, yes, everybody knew and it was so predictable, but it still was a great movie.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that is probably the best Spider-Man movie that's come out. I really, really enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man series because I thought that it was a better Spider-Man, but not a better Peter Parker. I thought that Tobey Maguire was a better Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man because Spider-Man, in all of his incarnations, is usually this kind of spunky sort of sarcastic, funny guy. And in the Spider-Man movies, he really wasn't much.
Well,
in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, he was, but he wasn't a good Peter Parker.
Well, you have to also understand, and you need to have context, that Spider-Man was risk for everyone. That's why, if you look at Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi films, he's huge. He's buff. He's not that skinny, wiry kid. He's a buff guy. Because back then, all they had were Superman and Batman, and both guys were huge. So they kind of played off this Superman angle with Spider-Man, and I think it worked for the time. But yeah, we can't have that again because Spider-Man's not buff.
No,
he
was
the
skinniest superhero.
Yeah, he was pretty much close to as big as Chris Evans playing Captain America.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah,
It's perhaps a little shorter.
but I mean, again, for the time, it definitely worked.
Yeah. And I mean, looking back, those movies are a little hokier than I remember them because, I was, like 7 when those movies came out. So, I mean, yeah, it's hokey, and it was just the very beginning of this superhero craze. And I think Iron Man really, like, rocketed that forward and made it the big thing that it is today. And that was when it became kind of a little more acceptable. But Spider-Man was sort of like the pre-beginning. It was like the prequel to what we were gonna be seeing in this age of superheroes that we're kind of in right now. I'm really looking forward to it though. Like I am so stoked for that. It comes out what, May? Is it May?
June, I believe.
June?
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy is May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Oh, this year's gonna be awesome. Oh my god. Spider-Man, Thor, Ragnarok. Oh gosh, I'm really excited about this year for superheroes. And I think I said that last year, but gosh, I'm super excited. I'm such a huge superhero nerd, and this is just like a whole bunch of my favorite characters. Ooh, I'm excited. Okay, next trailer on the list is Guardians of the Galaxy. Have you seen the Guardians trailer?
Yes, I have.
Not a whole lot to talk about there.
This is going to be a little short because, but I got to say, that's some brilliant marketing because they know everyone and their mother are going to see this movie.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because the trailer, all it shows is Star-Lord, Rocket, and they just show off all the characters and they say, yep, they're in here. These are all the characters that you absolutely adore and love. Go see the movie May 5th.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
It just basically shows all the characters doing fighting character things and being kind of funny. And like the 2 scenes that it showed like in any amount were the rocket scene with Groot, where Groot's with the button, and you have no idea what that's about. So that's awesome. I have no idea what's going to happen. And then you see, what's that last scene? The scene with the girl who can sense things.
Oh, I think her name is
Mantis
or something.
Name is.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then you see a little more of the blue dude, Yondu.
Yeah.
Yondu. I'm not as familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy's character, but I know that Yondu was originally supposed to be like one of the main Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
So I love that they're putting Yondu in there
With the hawk. The mohawk.
The mohawk.
I think that's so awesome because that is right out of the comics.
I love that, and the only other scene that they showed was the scene where the Int's like, oh, it's like you love her, and then what's his face? Oh, crap, I'm so bad at this. What's the big purple guy?
Drax
the Destroyer. Yeah, Drax. Just laughing his butt off, and that, oh man, every time I watch that, I just get this big smile on my face and I start giggling.
Because it's just like they're back.
Yeah, it's just like
that's what the marketing
characters.
is. The marketing is they're back, and the one
we're not
thing
going to tell you anything they're doing.
The one thing in trailer 2 that I really appreciated was I think the thing that I'm most excited to see is actually Nebula's character.
Yeah,
because like she was a bad guy, girl, and like she comes to the good side, and she's like, you guys fight all the time. What does that make you? Like, I really want to see her insight into that.
I want to see the answer.
Yeah. I think it could be really good. Again, we don't know, but the only story we have is it's not every day you get to save the universe twice or galaxy twice. Yeah. And that's really the only
all we know
thing
is
we know.
Explosions.
Oh,
and why? We don't even know who's the villain.
Star-Lord's dad is in it.
Yeah.
Played by Kurt Russell, which interesting.
Cool.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah. Who's the villain? Did they even show the villain?
I think it's those girls, like those women that say that you guys are filthy and disgusting and we like to purge that out of the galaxy, or I think, I don't know.
Gosh, I don't even know who the villain is. This is awesome though. Like, I wish more trailers were like that.
But I gotta say, like, the one thing that we haven't even talked about yet is this film is gonna be gorgeous.
Oh, it's
like
super
the cinematography and the creativity of this. Like, this CGI looks so. It doesn't look like it's made in a computer. It looks like it was handcrafted artwork. Like just that big giant alien that shoots like rainbow out of his mouth. Like, so many creative things in this thing. I'm looking forward to it.
Who's the director?
James Gunn.
Is it James Gunn again? He did the first one, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. and I think he
Yeah, it
was
is
at
James Gunn.
first an art director. But
Oh, he's
don't
one of the
quote me on
writers. Cool.
that. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
James
just
Gunn
look at
and
the
Dan Harmon.
poster. The poster is so pretty and so like gorgeous. It looks like a fun time.
It's a pretty poster.
It really looks like a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's not much you can say about it. You don't know anything that happens. The only thing that I'm worried about with that one, and it's a worry for the plot, not for the movie itself, is what makes Baby Groot that angry? The one scene that he flips his lid and like drags
That part
the
I
guy,
laughed the
like,
most though.
I didn't laugh.
That's just hilarious.
I got worried. It's like, what on earth could make Baby Groot that angry? That kind of makes me worried, but in a good way.
The only concern I have is that kind of humor is not really my cup of tea. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But I mean, I can appreciate it for what it was, but I don't really like that kind of humor. But that's my biggest concern. I definitely want to laugh a lot in this. And yeah, since we don't know the villains, and I'm kind of worried what is the plot gonna be. And I'm hoping, I definitely am hoping that it carries the universe more. Like, I do want more information of the cosmic, and I don't want Thanos, but like I do want to.
Nobody wants Thanos.
I don't want this to be pointless in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, separate it from our characters on Earth, but I definitely want there to be connections somewhat.
It's going to be really interesting to see how they end up connecting this, because we know that Guardians of the Galaxy are supposed to be in that first the Infinity Wars movie.
I cannot wait until Tony Stark and Rocket Raccoon come toe to toe.
Oh gosh.
I can't wait for that. That is going to be freaking hilarious.
I am so looking forward to seeing that, but I can't even see how they're going to connect it. But oh gosh, it's going to be awesome to see. Okay, switching gears, I want to switch back over to DC. And first we're going to talk about Wonder Woman trailer. Have you seen the Wonder Woman trailer?
I've seen all of the Wonder Woman trailers.
My main, there's more than one? Okay.
I think there's 3.
I have not kept up.
I think there's 3.
My main thing with that is cautiously optimistic. Because let's be honest, the Batman vs. Superman trailer looked awesome and the movie was not. So, oh gosh, I've been burned so many times by DC at this point. I'm like, I really, really want to look forward to it. I really want to look forward to it. And it looks okay. It looks like an origin story. So, you know, there's all the inherent troubles with it being an origin story. What's kind of your thought on the Wonder Woman trailer?
It's funny. For Spider-Man, I said impressed. Wonder Woman, not impressed. Like, there's not a thing in that trailer to where I'm like, wow, that looks new, or that looks different, or even interesting. It looks like the director is pretending to be Zack Snyder, which really worries me because there's only one Zack Snyder. And I mean, say what you will about the guy, he knows how to film really pretty action. So I don't know what this director's going to do with it, but also
the director's a chick. It's Patty Jenkins. I don't even know who that is.
Huh. I really get this vibe that what DC is doing, because again, we talked about the fact that DC doesn't like their characters. Not DC, probably Warner Bros. I get this feeling that they're doing another Suicide Squad with this, and they're trying to be like Marvel in the way that this really feels like a combination between Captain America and Thor. Because like, it really, because she has lightning like Thor does. She's got a shield like Captain America. It's in not World War II, but it's in World War I. So it definitely, it's really kind of, it's worrying that this really looks very familiar. And the worst part of that trailer was, I'm not getting the one glimpse in Batman v Superman that I liked of Wonder Woman. When she gets hit back and she smiles like, I'm ready to go and I'm ready to kick butt again. I didn't get that smile. She's got that mean face. She's got that warrior face. And it's like, oh, great, she's going to be stoic, like Batman. I want fun. And it doesn't look like Wonder Woman's having fun. Like, it would have been so interesting and so much fun to see Wonder Woman go out on that battlefield fighting Germans, smiling the whole way, doing it, going, this is great. You know, it would have been really different if she was like, yeah, I am the strongest person here and I'm completely annihilating you guys. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. Like, I want to be optimistic about it. It looks fine, but it doesn't give me the same, and we're going to talk about this in a second, it doesn't give me the same excitability that the Justice League trailer gives me.
I don't see any character development at all. Like, I don't see where she's going to change one bit. And that's really making me nervous.
I don't know. I mean, it is just a trailer.
Yeah, that's true too.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
we could
see
see
it
it
no
and
matter what.
we could see it and it would blow us and it could blow us away. We don't know.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, I mean, I like this Wonder Woman from what I've seen of her.
Oh yeah.
In the one Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, I like her
in Batman vs Superman. It's just a question of whether or not that's going to translate well to a full movie. I like Gal Gadot. I think she's going to do well. Gal? I don't actually know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry.
I think it's like Gal Gadot.
I think it's Gadot.
Gadot. Or yeah, I don't know.
She's Israeli. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. I give up.
So sorry.
But yeah, I'm a dumb American. My bad. But I mean, I've liked what I've seen of her so far. It's just, like I said, I've been burned so many times by DC. I just don't know. But let's move on to the next one, Justice League. That actually looks really good. Like, again, I want to be cautiously optimistic, but there's a part of me that's just getting really excited because I can see the humor in it. And that's something the DC universe has been missing for a long time. And that Aquaman, speaking as a female, whew. I know you can't have, you can rule for Wonder Woman if you want to, but he's gorgeous. I'm sorry, I just can't. You have to admit it as a lady. Us ladies are going to enjoy it for that reason alone. Sorry, Kevin, but I like that I can see the humor in it again. And I also like that I don't see where the story is going. Like I said, that was something that I had a problem with the Spider-Man trailer, but I didn't with the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it looks awesome. What are your thoughts on that one?
So for Spider-Man, impressed. Wonder Woman, not impressed. This underwhelmed. This is Justice League. Like, guys, Justice League. Like,
you thought it should have been bigger?
Well, not only bigger, just like, this is the first time superheroes actually came together. I know everybody in their heads is like, but Marvel Avengers. No, this was the first time. Avengers copied what Justice League did.
Yeah.
Because they were like, uh-oh. Like, the company was like, uh-oh, how are we gonna... we have to combat Justice League because Justice League is about teamwork and it's about...
They copied it first, which is the funny thing. Like DC didn't even copy their own animated and comic book success onto the live action first, which is pathetic.
People may disagree with me, but what was really missing from this trailer was the villain. Who
is the villain?
Well,
you're right. I have no idea.
But here is my problem with it. We should have gotten a villain. We don't know the stakes. You're talking about joking around, and I'm like, but we don't have any stakes. I'm not saying make it so dark. We don't know. And yeah, it's nice to have mystery, but I'm not excited. I'm not excited because there are no stakes. Like, so far as I know, they're fighting parademons, and that's it. And that would be a really, really boring movie because parademons don't talk. They just roar.
Yeah.
They're just faceless enemies. I know that's probably not the case, but I wanted...
Is that what they're fighting?
No, I think they're fighting something called Steppenwolf, which is a captain of Darkseid, but we won't go there yet.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see a villain grabbing Batman by the throat and saying, a typical superhero thing of, I'm going to destroy the world, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to something.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is what maybe the second trailer they've done. We might get something to be in
That's
the future.
true.
But
That's true too. But
just looking at the heroes,
Yeah.
it makes me optimistic
Yeah.
because they seem to work well together, and that's something that's been missing. Nobody in Batman vs Superman had any kind of chemistry. Nobody with the exception of maybe the dad in Man of Steel, had any chemistry with any of the characters. Superman and Lois Lane are boring. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say. I don't care what anyone thinks. Those two characters have no chemistry and they're boring together.
I didn't say anything.
I know. I meant like
I thought it was extremely.
else who
I mean,
likes it.
I like Man of Steel too. I like Man of Steel, but yeah, that was the weak point.
Yeah,
That was definitely a weak point.
all I got from Man of Steel was drooling over Henry Cavill. And that's not something that will help. At least this Aquaman. Again, Aquaman is one of like the most boring characters, kinda. He can be really interesting,
In
but
the comics, he's amazing. Now,
yeah,
not back then, but in the comics, he was
he's been getting better over
absolutely
time.
amazing.
And I actually I just watched a Aquaman movie. That was a Justice League Aquaman
Oh,
movie.
Throne of Atlantis.
Throne of Atlantis, yeah.
Yep.
A little while ago, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was fine.
Yep.
Wasn't one of like the greatest ones, but I liked it fine. And I think this Aquaman has a possibility of being really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Batman looks really interesting, and the Wonder Woman looks really
Mhm.
interesting. And the Flash looks really interesting. It still really annoys me that they won't just use their what are they called? Television show characters, because those are already extremely popular, and I guess they're not using
there.
We're not gonna. We're both transmedia majors, so it bugs us when they don't do the
Oh,
transmedia thing. Quick sidebar. Let's just explain real quick what transmedia is, because it is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars are the two biggest ones that I can think of that do it correctly. Transmedia is basically telling the same story across the same story world, but in different formats. Like you go from movie to television show to comic book to video game. But they all tell different parts of the same story, but they're not just a rehashing of it.
Mm-hmm.
So taking The Dark Knight Returns, which, by the way, we figured out in the last episode, we were trying to figure out there was an animated Batman versus Superman movie, and it was part 2 of Dark Knight Returns. So if you were curious, we figured it out. But Transmedia is taking the same story world and just spreading it out across different platforms, which is what Marvel does so well. They take their movies and they turn them into television shows, and they even a couple of their comic books even tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and their video games tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that's really interesting, and I don't understand why DC won't do it, because honestly, you've already got characters that are incredibly popular, like Supergirl and the Flash and Green Arrow, whatever his name is, Green Arrow, who are all incredibly popular already. I don't understand why they won't just take those characters, do backwards Marvel, and make them the basis of your new Justice League movie.
The only thing I could possibly consider is they don't own them. Maybe. I don't know, but maybe the movie studio doesn't own the CW.
The television
Maybe.
rights?
I
That's
don't.
possible.
It
I
could
haven't
be
actually
possible
looked it up.
because I don't think there's any reason why not. I don't know. But yeah.
That's entirely possible.
Mhm.
I haven't actually looked it up, but I'm pretty sure
I'm
they
not sure
do.
either. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do own them. But I actually have no
Maybe.
idea. That's
I don't
a
know.
good point. That is a good point. It still frustrates me though, because I know these characters are so popular and they've already got a built-in fan base. Make them the start of your new Justice League. But they don't. They're doing a completely different thing with characters we know nothing about, just making the same mistake they did in Batman versus Superman. But God, I hope they do it better, because I know that they can do this well. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a second. But Justice League War, the movie, you've seen Justice League War?
Yeah.
The animated movie?
Oh yeah.
That was a great introduction to the Justice League.
Oh, it was great.
It was perfect. So I'm hoping it'll end up something like that. But
Okay.
again, cautiously optimistic.
I think the reason why I might just be a fanboy that like when I watched the trailer, I was expecting something different, and I'll admit, yeah, I should be happy with what I got. That our characters are coming together. But I think another big thing that I really didn't like about that trailer was every hero looks the same for the most part. Like they all have that dark costume. Everyone looks the same. There's like no color. I'm sorry, but
That's
like
something that
there's
DC's had a trouble with for a while.
but like
though.
there's no color. And I'm like, the Justice League is all about different colors. Like if you look at the animated opening, you see the red of Superman, you see the blue of Batman, you see the gold of Hawkgirl, the red of Flash, green of Green Lantern. And yeah, let's talk Green Lantern. Just because you guys failed with the first
Where is he?
attempt. Huh?
He's like a founding member of the Justice League.
Why didn't
Where
you
is
put
Green Lantern?
Why didn't you put him in there? I mean, seriously. Like when I saw the lineup, I'm like, okay, that's great. That's not Justice League because he's not there.
Yeah.
He is Justice League. I understand they killed off Superman. You can't have him yet. They probably
That's
want to keep
fair.
that off no surprise. Still kind of hurts me because I'm kind of like, but Superman's supposed to be forefront. He's supposed to be
It
like
is
right in the center.
entirely possible they may
but-
throw him in there as like a Deus Ex Machina, quite literally, at
He
the
could.
end of it.
He could.
And I would kind of like to see that. But
I think it would have
where's
been.
Green Lantern?
I think it'd be interesting. Of course, this is just my opinion, and it could be really stupid. But it'd be really interesting if they actually made Superman a villain, like they brought him back as a villain, and we actually got our Batman v Superman fight we wanted.
Yeah, but I don't
that
think
would have
they're
been
gonna,
interesting. I'm not
I
saying
don't think
they're
they
going
can
to
do
that.
yet. It would be interesting if they did it in the future, but
Yeah,
gosh.
but like
They
but
blew
what
some
I-
of their
well,
coolest
what I,
ideas
well, what
way
I mean,
too early.
what I mean by Batman v Superman fight that we always wanted is maybe like like the Batwing against Superman and do the whole Flash like spectacle thing, and that's how Clark comes back, and maybe
Bring back a brainwashed Superman?
not brainwashed, but maybe have it to where he like. Not brainwashed, but basically he comes back, and when he comes back, he's the Superman we all know and love. He's not the brooding. He actually is the nice guy. Maybe
Okay.
something along those lines. But
that would be. I
that would
really
be
hope they
interesting.
do something.
that'd
like
be
that.
interesting. But
Yeah.
but anyway, like, so let's if we can kind of detract a little bit, I kind of want to talk Darkseid
Okay.
because I know he's coming. Like you
Is he
see
in
the
it?
Omega sign. I don't know. But you see the Omega symbol. Steppenwolf is Darkseid's captain. So you know Darkseid's coming.
It's gonna be interesting if we get Darkseid before we get Thanos.
This is what I wanted to say.
So they're basically the same character.
Well, this is actually exactly what I wanted to say. I kind of want to of course, I guarantee nobody's going to hear this from DC, but I'm just going to give you a pointer of what to do with Darkseid. Do not make Darkseid like the comics. Because
How is he
like,
in the comics?
well-
I haven't actually read him.
he's Thanos.
Oh, okay.
He's pretty much your typical villain of I'm going to destroy all life in the universe. That's basically what he is.
Have you seen Superman Batman Apocalypse? It was
Mm-mm.
the Supergirl
Mm-mm.
movie.
I
Okay.
haven't.
That had a really interesting dark side
Hmm.
because he was just so evil. And I loved it. Like it was
Mhm.
him going after Supergirl to make her one of his
I got to see that.
people, I don't know, servants or whatever. And brainwashed Supergirl was pretty interesting to watch.
Justice League War. If you've seen that,
Yeah, I've
that's
seen it.
pretty much Darkseid.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, you're going to go, that's pretty much Thanos.
Yeah, he's not
The
a
reason-
particularly
well,
interesting
The reason
villain
why Thanos
because we've seen it before.
See, here's the thing. The reason why Thanos exists is because again with the whole Avengers and Justice League, they looked at Darkseid and was like, "Yeah, we don't have one of those. We need one of those characters." And they
Yeah.
made Thanos. Marvel and DC has been going at this for years. They do all this kind of stuff. So, my personal opinion is DC, don't try to compete with Marvel. you are so far behind. Stop.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
I absolutely agree.
Don't make Darkseid like Thanos.
Yeah.
Make it to where you're saying, because of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, you're saying your series is the emotional one. Yours is the dark one, the very philosophical one. Then make Darkseid a philosophical character. And in my opinion, I think this would be the perfect chance to do this. Make Darkseid what Ultron should have been. Make him the Hal character from 2001: A Space Odyssey, where he looks at the human race as evil. That could work, and you could get his insight into it, and basically, and you could even say, yeah, human beings are kind of bad, and maybe we shouldn't deserve, and then the Justice League are like, no, they can be better. Yeah. They can be more. That would, I think, I would see Justice League 100 times if they did that, because we all wanted that from Ultron. We didn't get that from Ultron.
Yeah.
People are still waiting for that kind of Ultron.
He was a pretty charismatic villain. He just
wasn't Ultron.
Wasn't Ultron.
And that's, I think, if you're going to compete with Marvel, I think you make Thanos be Darkseid. Do it. Go right ahead.
I mean, if there's a comparison for Ultron in the DC universe, I'd say maybe Brainiac.
I think more Ultimo. Or wait, I forgot. Is Ultimo Marvel or DC?
I can't remember.
I always.
They blend together sometimes.
Yep.
But I'm thinking there's one really good animated movie that was.
Oh, was that Superman Unbound?
Unbound. That was probably it.
Brainiac was fantastic.
Brainiac was great.
That was great.
That was what I honestly thought it should have been more like Ultron. Because if anything, Ultron was too human.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they made an evil Tony. And do you know how many villains? And I'm talking to you, Disney. I'm talking to you, Disney.
We've already seen
We have seen so many Tony villains.
The first two Iron Man movies were Tony villains.
Evil Tony. It's why I'm actually excited for Voltron. Sorry,
Vulture. Yeah,
I'm very excited for Vulture. He's
definitely not an evil Tony.
Because he's not evil Tony. He's a guy that's ticked off at Tony. That's a pretty good idea.
That's fair.
That's a good idea. Because we're all a lot of us are ticked off at Tony. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, we're kind of like, we're kind of ticked off at him. Even though, he's a nice guy, but we're ticked off of him.
He's not a nice guy.
But anyway, so going back to what I was saying, if you want to compete with Marvel, let Thanos be Darkseid. Let him be the ultimate power in the universe, which is what Darkseid was, and just try to wipe out all life. Darkseid should have a dilemma. In Justice League, Darkseid should have a dilemma. He should have this idea that he's like, I don't want to destroy the world, but I have to.
So
it's my duty. It's my mission. I'm the hero. What if you made Darkseid essentially the hero in his own mind?
So make him more like a Loki style villain, where you've got that character that is very relatable and very understandable. Exactly.
But what would be interesting is he's not cracking a bunch of jokes. He would be so dead serious, and he'd be so horrified that he has to do this.
That would be really interesting.
That would be so good.
I don't think they're going to do it, but that would be really interesting.
And I know you want to have Superman turn evil. What if Darkseid is basically like a Darth Vader type character and says to Superman, you know what I'm saying is true. They hated you. When you first showed up, they hated you. Why would you protect these people? And you could even have that kind of conflict. It would... There are so many...
We're not going to get us... I don't think Superman's going to be in this one, maybe at all. Maybe for a Deus Ex Machina at the end.
I don't know, but here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that if DC is going to go the route of dark and gritty and emotional, then go all out. Have characters go through dilemmas, but have it be entertaining dilemmas, not just, oh, well, I'm sad because Jason Todd died. That's not entertaining, because all we're seeing is a guy moping around in his room. That's not entertaining. Now, if Batman said, I hate the world because Jason Todd died and I'm going to destroy everybody else, that's interesting. That's entertaining.
Yeah.
Because you just made him a villain.
I don't think it's Batman, though. And
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of seeing...
I'm not saying... Again, that was just an example.
Yeah.
But that's just what I'm...
Yeah. But
I just threw that out.
I don't necessarily like seeing heroes, and I'm going to pivot here a little bit. Yeah. I don't really like seeing heroes purposefully become villains, but I do like seeing heroes in distress that are forced to be. Like, my favorite television show when I was a kid was Teen Titans.
What do you mean by forced?
Okay, have you seen Teen Titans, the television show, when you were a kid?
I've seen a lot of episodes, but again, because I was a kid, I forgot a lot.
Do you know the Robin Apprentice storyline with Slade?
Nope.
Okay, basically, to save his friends, Slade forces Deathstroke. I don't know why they just called him Slade. It's such a stupid thing to do. Slade basically forces...
Probably didn't have the rights. I'm kidding.
No, I know why they didn't do it. They didn't want to put the name Death as a character in this kid's show. Just dumb.
That makes sense.
But Deathstroke forces Robin to become his apprentice to save his own friends because they were in danger.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff either. I don't like...
I do like it. I like seeing it because it was forcing Robin, who is basically like a lighter version of Batman. He's a very moral guy. He's very like, these are the rules and I'm sticking to them, and I want to make sure that I am the best person that I can be. He's almost more like Superman than Batman in a lot of cases, that in the show anyways. It's forcing Robin to go completely against his conscience for the greater good of saving his friends. And I think that's really interesting. And that I like that. I like forcing it. Darth Vader is a very similar character. Later on anyways. Like, he doesn't want to do it, but he feels forced to.
The greatest villains, and this is what... I'm talking to both DC and Marvel here. The greatest villains are those who think they are doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
When in all actuality, they are being awful about it. Now, Joker is kind of that exception because he doesn't necessarily think he's doing right. He just looks at the world. He's got a different perspective, and his perspective is absolutely insanity.
Yeah. This is actually something we can talk about. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. Is there basically two different types of villains?
Yep.
There's the villain who thinks that they're the hero in their own mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna use two different television show examples for this. And then there's the villain that knows he's crazy and knows that he's the bad guy and just loves it. Joker's that kind of villain. The two that I can think of off the top of my head are Kingpin from Daredevil and the Penguin from Gotham. Penguin knows he's the villain. He's not trying to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
There may be some scenes where he's okay, but the vast majority of the time, he knows he's the villain. He knows he's not even crazy. He just knows that he's the bad guy, and he wants to do that. That is his goal. He wants to be the man in charge with all the power.
Mm-hmm.
Kingpin doesn't. No. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He's so incredibly wrong, and he feels bad when he has to do bad things. Sometimes. Not all the time. The head smashing scene, I don't think so. But the vast majority of the time, like, he's not a bad guy, or at least he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He's just so warped from his childhood. He's warped from everything he's gone through to believe that this is the only way that he can get it done. And I think that is almost more interesting, but the Penguin is still such a cool villain. It's because he just goes, he's not wishy-washy. Neither of these characters are particularly wishy-washy. They make a choice and they go for it. It might be the wrong choice, and it happens for different reasons, but they don't go back and forth. That's why the Joker's so interesting.
I think it all comes down to the concept of a broken mind. I think that's the difference. One, they are completely in their right mind. Their perspective is just different. They just have a bad perspective because of something that happened. Penguin is just out of his mind. Something snapped in his brain, probably from the past, but something probably snapped in his brain. But at the same time, I kind of disagree with you that Penguin is different from Kingpin, because in Penguin's mind, he's doing the right thing by him. when it comes to villains, it all comes down
Yeah,
to
but he's
perspective.
selfish.
Exactly. It all comes down to perspective. The reason why Kingpin is not selfish is because he cared about his mother. Because he looked at his father and went, this guy is the most self-centered son of a gun I've ever seen. I'm never going to be this. It all comes down to perspective. And actually, I was talking with my little brother about Joker. Joker, now, get ready, is not psychotic. He's not crazy.
Really?
By definition, he is not insane and he is not crazy. Because he is not doing the same thing twice expecting different results.
Okay.
That's insanity. That's crazy. He has a different perspective. And he follows after that different perspective. His perspective is the world is one big joke. And if somebody views the world like that, it's a very dangerous thing. Because I'm going to kill someone and I think it's hilarious because it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. And
But
so we're starting to get a little low on time. So I want to talk about, you mentioned something the other day that I thought was really brilliant, is a way to sort of save the DC universe. And I know they're not going to go this way, but I thought the idea was so cool. Go ahead.
Actually, I wouldn't even say save it. I'm saying they should have done this from the very beginning. Forget Man of Steel. Forget Batman v Superman. Forget all that. They should have started out with Teen Titans. It would have been the perfect way to strike at the heart of Disney and Marvel. Because Disney always thinks children, right? It's always about, like, well, we got to appeal to the children. That's what Disney's all about. Disney's all about children animation, children. DC putting out a child version of Avengers, Marvel would be like, oh crap, we have nothing like that. We can't compete with that. And they've already seen Avengers work, because back before Man of Steel, it was The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises came out the year Avengers came out. So literally after Dark Knight Rises, they could have instantly went, okay, let's work on Teen Titans. To where it's like, look, Avengers worked.
Give us a decent live action
What
Robin,
if-
for the love of God,
Right.
please.
What if we got teenagers, and you instantly connect with them? They're already doing Cyborg for Justice League. Put him in there. He is a cool character. Make him your quote unquote Hulk. And oh my gosh, I would die if I saw an actual Beast Boy. If you saw
Oh my gosh, that'd
a
be so
CGI
cool.
where it transformed, that would be insane, and so many different possibilities. And like you said, Robin, like, get a really good teenager have him flip and all that stuff, and just like, and Raven, I mean, what a great character.
Yeah.
New special effects that Marvel couldn't compete with, because Marvel doesn't deal with dark stuff. They don't.
Yep.
They don't deal with dark powers.
Yeah, and make it a
Raven would.
make it a Raven-centric thing. Like your first one, make it either Robin or Raven, because in the Teen Titans show, the darkest episodes were always, and my favorite, by the way, I should tell you a little bit about my personality. My favorite episodes were always the Raven or Robin-centric shows, because those were always the darkest. They dealt with the most feeling and pain that these characters are going through. And it was so fascinating seeing it in a show that was usually kind of fun and like whimsical almost.
Well,
And you can do that in a live action show. You can have fun with it because they're teenagers.
if I could actually, I kind of disagree with that. I would say the first one should be all of them getting together. And I would also put Aqualad. I would actually have
he's
an
cool.
addition of Aqualad, because everybody
one?
talks about...
Which one? There's technically two different versions. There's the original, like the white guy with the long hair, and then there's the really cool black guy that started out in Young Justice, who is also really cool.
I wouldn't mind either.
Either, they're both cool characters.
Because
Okay, continue.
what I'm saying is they want everybody to really like Aquaman now, because Aquaman's been a joke for a long time. make Aqualad, and it's like, whoa, okay, fish powers and water powers could be really cool. And you could do that with Aqualad. And I'm not saying never do Justice League, but do Teen Titans first and then build up to Justice League. Have the Justice League actually be in that world. You just don't see them yet.
Have it as like a cameo.
That could be interesting. And then, but what it comes down to is it would definitely be different.
Yeah.
That's what DC needed to focus on. Nothing about their movies right now are different. They're just trying so desperately to be a dark version of Marvel Studios, and that's not interesting. That's not fun. That's not what's gonna make people excited for something. But going back to what you were saying about like Raven-centered and Robin-centered, I think the first one should be Teen Titans getting together, facing off. I don't know what the story would be, but have the first one be about them getting together and all that stuff. The sequel, make it a Raven-centered. Make it a little darker.
Well, I mean, like the thing is that Raven's dad is a good, huge villain that would need more than one person to fight. And that would be like a good way to sort of introduce, and it's a good way to introduce Raven into the group anyways. Like you don't even need origin stories for the Teen Titans.
Oh, no,
people
no,
don't
no.
care enough, honestly.
Exactly.
You just show them, I thought Teen Titans really just sort of, the television show just sort of dropped you into the world and didn't bother telling you where they came from. Young Justice, if you watch that television show, which quite honestly was like the last decent thing on Cartoon Network, did give you an origin story, sort of, but it also just started with the characters already being established and just dropped them all in on each other. And that would be easy to do.
They needed to Guardians of the Galaxy it.
Yeah.
It should have been Teen Titans with a Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think it would have been so funny if like DC released it like 2 years, and all of a sudden you had Teen Titans and then Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't think people would have responded as well to the Guardians of the Galaxy if they had Teen Titans first, because I think after Teen Titans people would have been like, well, I mean, it's interesting, but it's not as good as Teen Titans.
Possibly.
Like
yeah.
it could have. I'm not saying that it would definitely happen, but what it really comes down to is they could have really beaten them on their own turf, that it's like, oh, Disney, you think you're the people that deal with children? No. We're going to have our film focus and center around teenagers.
Yeah.
With teenage problems, and you can still go dark. You can go not that dark, but you can still go dark and still go into the real problems of life and stuff like that. But yeah,
and
I
it's
think Teen
it's
Titans
even
would
easier
be a good
with
idea.
kids. Like teenagers have like really superficial problems.
Yeah.
But all teenagers have them.
Yeah. It would be like an army, it would be a team of Spider-Man. Like it would have been Spider-Man, and everybody responds really well to Spider-Man. I really think if they started with Teen Titans, I think DC would be on a really good track.
Yeah.
Especially since
and
if you wanted to do
so different.
Suicide Squad, you could have introduced a couple of those villains in there too.
Yeah, do
You
a couple
could have easily done that.
of movies with a couple of villains and then have the Teen Titans fight the Suicide Squad. See, that's something that doesn't even normally happen, or have the Teen Titans work with the Suicide Squad.
Now,
That's something that doesn't even normally happen in like the comics even.
what I'm saying is I would do Teen Titans and then start going into the Justice League.
Sure.
Like that's what and then start doing Superman or Batman or Aquaman, or like go into the other ones to where it's like, oh, but we know these people because the Teen Titans talk about them.
And make it
that would be interesting.
That's what Marvel did that DC isn't doing, is they made it a long game. Make it so that you start out with these, let them be introduced slowly over time, let people get used to the characters, then throw them all together.
What DC should have done was they shouldn't have said, let's compete with Marvel. They should have said, let's do the opposite of Marvel. Let's start with a team. Let's not introduce each character one by one. Let's start with a team.
Yeah, and right now they're trying to do that, but they're going halfway with it. And it's just like, I don't know if it's going to work out.
The third movie? The fourth movie they're doing Justice League? It's like, that's weird.
What did it take Avengers to do? You had
5. I think it was the 5th movie.
There were 2 Iron Man movies in it.
No, was it 5?
There were 2 Iron Man movies. If you want to count the Incredible Hulk, that counts too.
Man, you don't
Thor-
like that one.
No, I don't. Thor, Captain America,
And that was it.
and then the Avengers. So 5, yeah.
Well, wait. 4 characters. 1 had a sequel. So it's actually, I think Avengers was the 6th movie.
Yeah, it was. There were 5
Yeah.
before it.
Right. Right.
That's again, if you count
Right.
Incredible Hulk.
So what it comes down to is they just... I really think the reason why they made Man of Steel... And also, one thing that did disappoint me about Man of Steel is you hire a guy like Zack Snyder, and he's known for his visuals. He's known for all these crazy visuals that he does for 300 and Sucker Punch and all that stuff. He didn't go crazy with Superman that I wanted him to. Like, I had visions.
There wasn't much to do with it anyways.
Like, I had so many visions of seeing Superman's eyes slowly turn red, and as it, I don't know, maybe I'm just, but, like, he didn't go crazy, but I digress. Man of Steel was made because I really think the studio looked at Dark Knight and went, look at how much money this made. Let's make Superman into the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And then they went, oh, but we've also got to compete with Marvel. So we're also going to start a cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
No.
Again, I like Man of Steel for the experiment it was, not for starting an entire universe.
Yeah, it was
That
not
just
a good
wasn't
foundation.
a good idea.
Batman versus Superman
way.
is an even worse foundation.
Yeah.
It's like if you started your foundation on, if you like the foundation of your house is sand, it's like your base is sand, and then you built up the next foundation with Jello.
Yeah.
Then the first couple bricks of your house are Jello, and it doesn't stand well.
No, not at all. It just didn't work.
I'm hoping that we can kind of see this Justice League movie as like the beginning. If we can ignore the first 2 movies and move on from there, because if Justice League is good, then that's actually a good place to start.
Oh yeah, that's a good foundation.
That's a fine foundation. If they could just do that, and maybe we get a decent Green Lantern movie. I'm not holding my breath, but it's possible.
But going back to Justice League, another thing that I really didn't like about that trailer was all their powers looked the same. Like, every single power looked the same. Like, you saw Aquaman jump really high into the air, and he throws his trident, and I was like, that looked just like when Wonder Woman jumped. So what's the difference? Like, I was expecting to see Aquaman pulling a great white shark out of the ocean and have that guy, and have the great white shark eat the guy.
Oh, that's
So, like,
super corny, though.
But that's actually what they would do in the comic.
I know.
So,
it
like,
is.
I don't see enough variety. And the reason why Avengers worked was because there's a whole lot of variety.
Yeah.
Every power is different. So, like, I don't get it. It really, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It'll be one that I might have you come back on after that movie comes out, just so we can talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Next semester sometime. I think that's about all the time. I kind of want to talk about Logan, but we're getting up on an hour. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Kevin, for coming out and doing this podcast with me. And I hope all of you guys at home really enjoyed the podcast. I know I really enjoyed it immensely. And you'll come back?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
I'll come back.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll probably do this again next semester sometime after we've had all those summer blockbusters. So I will see you guys all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.